miles. So I'm going to be doing a review of pretty much all my skates right now. So the first skate I ever had was these Rollerblade I've right here. They are just like a rec blade. They were $100. They're really cheap, and they're basically like beginner skates. And I got them I think around 2015, and I didn't get new skates until 2019. So they lasted me a long time, about, what is that, 4 years. So 4 years is a pretty good amount of time for rec blades. I didn't skate every day. Actually only had one pair of wheels on them as well. So I basically rode them down to the cores. I was one of those kind of people who didn't really even know about that you could buy new wheels, or where to buy new wheels, or how much they were, or what size to get. It's all very confusing. That kind of boot uses an 80mm wheel. I know that now, but there's a lot of great people like Back to Blading who will teach you all about wheel sizes and everything that you need to know. Cardolino, he's another good YouTuber. These skates, he's good for tutorials. Acosta Blades, he's good for tutorials. And there's a lot of good YouTubers out there. However, the next skate that I got was this skate right here. The next skate that I got was the Powerslide Kaze, which is a pretty good skate. It's all one-piece boot, so that means that basically there is no liner. It has this shell on the outside, which is like this plastic bit, and then there is the cuff here. So the cuff is pretty rigid and strong. I think it's the same exact cuff they use on the Aeon, and then this bit is all plastic. But then it's like a shoe-like material on top. So that's nice for comfort, but as you can see here, I have tape, and then I fell again and the tape got all cut up. It basically gets cut up because of this fabric material right here is really weak, especially if you fall. Another problem, this buckle just rattles around because the screw is loose. This material also sort of rubs off pretty easily. I mean, it's a pretty expensive skate. It was like $330. It did come with their most high-end frame, the Katana frame. This is a 90mm tri-rocker frame. It's a 90mm tri-rocker frame. It's a really good skate for beginners all-around skating as well. If you're gonna do fitness skating, it's really good. It's not as good for urban skating because it doesn't really cinch up that tight. I mean, it's okay, but it also, again, the other problem is it doesn't take damage very well, so it's not that great for urban skating either. So the next skate I got was the Rossi's Fifth Element. It's a pretty cool skate. So far, I have the stock liner and the stock laces still. I don't have the stock frame and wheels on it anymore. I still have the frame and wheels, but I got this ground control frame, the aluminum HD frame, 60mm, and I got some 50/50 60mm limited edition wheels. So I thought that looked a little bit cooler, but this skate is a really good skate for an aggressive setup. I mean, it has the wider foot, so if you're like me, I don't exactly know I won't fit in the M12, but there's other skates that were just too slim for me on my feet. My feet aren't super wide, but I tried to skate the Tour hockey skates a couple years ago, and those were just way too thin or narrow for my foot. So I guess I don't have the feet for super narrow skates, and the M12 is supposed to be a really narrow skate. The Fifth Element has got pretty wide toe box area. It's supposed to be wider, but it's not super wide. It's not like huge. It's just wider than the M12. But it is a heavy skate. And with this aluminum frame, it's really heavy. But I'm a bigger guy, so it doesn't exactly bother me that it's heavy. But that is one downside of having flat aluminum frame you know, it's very heavy versus the plastic is pretty light. And the aluminum is kind of heavy, so these skates are very heavy, but I mean, it's a good workout. It doesn't really bother me either. But these were the first ever aggressive skates I got. I got them about a year ago now, about August of 2019. So yeah, about a year ago now. And they're really cool skates. I really like them. Like, I mean, they're awesome looking, and they've held up really well. Check out the foot. So those are my first aggressive skates I ever got. Those, I learned a lot in those, but you know, when I first got them, they were anti-rockers, so I wanted to get another skate. My second aggressive skate that I ever got was these skates right here, the Shift 2s. Now I got them with the Intuition liner. They're currently in my them skates right here, but I got these with the Wish frame because I heard all about the Wish frame, and I was afraid, you know, to make that leap from anti-rocker to flat because of wheel bite issues, and you know, that's why I went with the Wish frame. Pretty much impossible to get wheel bite on this bad boy, but I really enjoy this skate as well, the Shift 2. I don't actually use the frame swap thing. I've never changed the frames because I don't have another sole plate for it, and I don't really have another, you know, frame that is just lying around that I'd want to use for it. I mean, I guess I could get my Rossi's street frame, but that wasn't that good of a frame. So, you know, I really like this frame. It has the God's Weed 3 wheels, undercover 72 millimeters, the God Weed 3 60 millimeter wheels, Wish original frame, not the medium. This is a good boot. It came originally with the Rain V3, yeah, the Rain V3 liner. But I wanted to get the Intuition, so I was on Roller Warehouse, and when you're doing an online custom order, you can, like, let's say this thing comes with the Rain V3, that's an $80 liner, so the Intuition liner is $200. So I got the Intuition for $120 because I had $80 off from the Rain V3 liner. That's why I went with the Intuition, but I've heard a lot of good things about the Rain V3, which kind of makes me think I should have kept the Rain V3 liner, but it was like, do I really need a liner I'm not going to use for $80? I didn't really think so, so that's why I went with the Intuition liner. Then my latest aggressive setup are the Them 909. I just got these because, you know, John Julio is pretty cool, and I wanted to support him. Also, I got a Nils Jansson's frame because I also like Nils Jansson's. These are some Eulogy anti-rocker wheels, and these are some Red Eye Russell Day wheels, 62 millimeters. These are 47 millimeters, I believe. I don't know where I have the cuff position. You could tell me in the comments, anybody who knows, but I'm not sure if it's up or down, but I can just check. But alright, so this is my current setup. You want to check out the foot. I really like the Them 909s. They're a really good boot. The only issue I have with it is, I think some people have said the same thing. Like, this sole plate is a little bit narrow compared to the top. The back, the heel is more narrow than the toe, or whatever you call it. I'm not exactly sure the name, but the front of the sole plate here is a little bit wider than this one. So when you're locking on, sometimes you kind of lock on here instead of locking on here, and it's a little bit weird, and that kind of throws you off. The other thing is, I recently put the Intuition liner in there today, but before that I was skating the stock liner that came with it. Thankfully, from Lawrence from Back to Blading, he had a video saying that the Intuition liner the them 909 liner that comes with it, or the them intuition liner, whatever it's called. That liner is not gonna fit me because I have a 28.5 centimeter foot. Like my feet are like 10.5 US or 44 EU. So that means that, like, I guess my foot is too big because I have the same size feet basically as Lawrence from Back to Blading is 10.5, and he says that it's actually not 28.5, it's a little bit smaller, so my feet wouldn't really fit inside of the liner. So I'm glad I didn't bother buying the extra $100 liner, because it was only $100 more to come with the $200 liner. But I was like, what if it doesn't fit right, or what, do I really need two of them? So I'm kind of glad I just stuck with the one I already had. You know, but other than that, I mean, I really like this setup for any rocker. I haven't tried it yet for flat, so I can't really speak to it for as a flat setup, but I mean, the soles should pretty much be the same either way, flat or anti. That's more of an H-block issue, the whole anti-rocker flat thing. But I really like this setup. It feels really solid. Like, if you're gonna judge the boot, it actually holds up good. I mean, I've done some cess slides and kind of slipped out on the boot, and I've gotten a decent amount of damage. So yeah, the boots held up pretty good after just like maybe 3 hours skating. I haven't had any issues. I haven't heard too many issues with the 909 though. I mean, the 908 had a lot of problems and they kind of fixed them all with the 909 in my knowledge. Or to my knowledge, they fixed them all with the 909. Now, I have 3 frames, the Wish frame, the ground control frame, and the ground control aluminum. The ground control Featherlight 3 and the ground control aluminum HD frame. Now, which one is better? I would say they're all different, and they're all different situations. So no one is better, it just depends on the situation. That's why I have 3 pairs of skates, and I still skate them all, is because they all kind of fit a different purpose. This is kind of my dedicated anti-rocker setup. My shift 2s are like my dedicated Wish frame setup, and then my Rosie's is my kind of my super heavy workout fitness skate with the the aluminum HD frame and the heavy ass Fifth Element boot. Which one is my favorite? Probably these white thems, because they're new and they're white and they're all fresh. Got my them shirt on. So, those are all my aggressive skates. Kind of went off order, but next free skate I got was the Powerslide Imperial, which is a pretty good all-around skate. The only issue with this skate is it sort of has a very soft boot material, but this isn't my right skate. But if you want to look right here, I mean, I do grinds on these, so it's not so soft that you can't do grinds, but this top part is real soft compared to the bottom. But the top part is real soft compared to the bottom, but I guess it doesn't really matter. But this skate is really good for just like fitness. The only issue I have is I've like messed up the axles a little bit, or it's just the axles that I have, they're like too long, they kind of like clack around, so when I'm skating they're kind of noisy. But that could just be the axles that I'm using. But I did replace the axles, because the axles I got all stripped out and I had to replace them with these old axles, so maybe they're just too long. I'm skating this 125 millimeter. That's what it came stock, but I have I'm skating this with the undercover wheels. That's 125 millimeter. That's the biggest that they make so far, besides an air tire, which is 150. But you know, it's really all you need. I wouldn't say they need a bigger size wheel. I mean, I don't know. I guess you could go like 130 or 135, but you don't really need to. You know, maybe 130. I don't know. Maybe try 130, guys. You listening? But this has a MyFit Fat Boy liner. The other one, the Powerslide Kaze, that's integrated boots. You can't change the liner. I've also used this with the Intuition. However, I feel like the Intuition is a little overkill for fitness or urban skating. It is good for urban skating. However, if you feel this part, the top of the liner, it's like super flimsy. And then if you feel the top of the Intuition liner, it's like super stiff. So that's the problem with the Intuition liner, is on these skates it's already really stiff up at the top anyways. And it's like you don't exactly need it to be stiff here when it's already stiff. I understand that you want rigidity like a carbon skate. However, even carbon skates have a lot of times, like these are carbon skates, they have a plastic cuff on the top. It's not that you don't want a carbon cuff all the time, but you know, it's not exactly necessary to have rigidity at the very top. Not for everybody's liking, is what I'm saying. And so when you put the Intuition liner in here, it sort of makes it so when you're doing like a slide or you're pushing off, like let's say you're going up a hill and you're pushing, it's gonna dig into my leg. That's what happens. Basically, the very tip top of the Intuition liner just digs into my leg. And that is like something that it's not really that like a pressure point, because it's like, I don't know, it's just too tight up there. And then when you're like bending over, like aggressive skates are more like, they don't really bend that way anyways. Like when you go over it, it doesn't bend at all. These are kind of flexy. So when you bend, it kind of flexes, and it'll kind of like flex, the whole skate kind of bends and it digs into your leg. It's very uncomfortable. It's probably not supposed to happen. I imagine like if you're using it like a wizard setup in a carbon boot, like a Seba CJ or whatever, like gutted out Seba CJ, you're gonna be a lot happier with that experience for like a free skate versus this plastic boot, because it's like this thing is like, it's too flexy for that. I think that's what it is. It's just too flexy. The top of the cuff is too flexy for the Intuition liner, and it just digs into your leg. That's the only issue with the Imperial. Other than that, it's a really good skate. It glows in the dark. That's the only gripe I'll have with it. They said that the wheels glue in the dark, the original wheels, those didn't glow in the dark. No matter how hard I tried, I left them out in the sun all day long, they didn't glow in the dark. And that's the other thing. The issue with the glow in the dark, it's like, who wants to leave their skates under a lamp for an hour before they go skating? You know, I'm never like, oh, I want to go skating in an hour. I mean, that's at least my personality. I'm not like, when I'm like, I want to go skating, I get up and I go skate. You know, I'm not like, oh, I want to go skate in an hour. Let me leave my skates under the lamp so that they can glow in the dark. Like, I've had these for like a year now, and I've never ever done that. You know, I should try it, but you know, I don't know. It's cool when you come back in the house and it's all dark in the middle of the day, then the skates will glow. Well, so they do glow sometimes. I would imagine it would be cool to go to roller rink if it was in COVID, but you know, whatever. So the Imperial, if you can still find it, which I think you can on like Pro Skater's Place, and you're looking for a tri-skate setup, this one comes, I believe, in a 4x80 in this colorway and the 125, and then there's like a black one that's the 110. I don't know if you're just a beginner. I don't know if 125 is a good idea for you. And let me just say why. Because you're so high off the ground, when you fall, it's just going to hurt more. And you're going to be less stable because you're high off the ground. So, like, when you're high off the ground, you have a lot more sway versus, like, I don't know. This one, you can see that's a 90 millimeter versus the 125. If you look there, it's a huge height difference. You know, there's a lot more room for your ankle to bend over. And also, just higher, you're like a few inches higher off the ground, which makes it hurt more when you fall. So, there's two real reasons that if you're a beginner, maybe you don't want to go with a 125. When I was a beginner, I went with a 90 millimeter because I was kind of worried about it. But I don't think you need to start at 90, especially if you have a larger foot. If your foot is like 9 or 10 or above, you probably should start with at least 100 millimeter, in my opinion. 90 millimeter is great for slalom, but it's really short wheelbase for someone who's just learning. And if you're going over cracks and stuff and bumps, you want like something a little bit longer and a little bit more stable. You know, this is a 235 versus a 255. So it's 20 millimeters longer in terms of the length of the frame, which it might not seem like a lot, but you know, 10 millimeters is a big difference, and 20 millimeters is twice that. It's a pretty big difference in terms of length, you know. And then you have the actual length of the wheel as well, so it feels a lot bigger. The 125, even though it's a 255, is a really short frame for a 125. But my point is, when you have a longer wheel base, or which they measure axle to axle, you're gonna feel more stable, basically. The next skate I got in the free skate, urban skate category was the Tau, and it's the first carbon skate I've ever skated. So the first carbon skate I ever skated with those Tours, but the Tour hockey skates, but they didn't really fit me, so I couldn't wear them. But these are basically the first urban skate that I've ever had with carbon fiber. The only thing, like I said before, is the cuff is not carbon fiber. It's like really, really super strong plastic, which it's, in my opinion, the cuff on this is pretty good. And for the price, it's like about half the price of the FR premium skate, which is like $1,200. This thing is like $600. I think it's only $570 actually. That's, or $580. That's really not that bad compared to like a $1,200, you know, for a carbon skate. Now it is pretty expensive. It's 3 times the price of a, you know, most aggressive skates are, you know, entry level ones, but you know, you pay for quality, right? I really like these skates. They're the first like compression carbon fiber, which is like or compressed carbon fiber, which is like what they use in like bikes and like Formula One cars and stuff. So it's better quality than like regular carbon fiber. So it's like really high end carbon fiber. And then the boot top thing on the top is like really nice. It cinches up really well when you lace up the boot. Feels really nice. The only thing is they're kind of hard to lace up compared to like an aggressive skate. If you're used to skating aggressive skates, something like this is really tedious to put on. It takes a long time. And the issue with this boot is, especially versus an aggressive skate, a lot of times when you are skating aggressive, you can like tighten your skates while you're sitting down, and then they're perfectly tight. These, like, you need to tighten them while you're sitting down and then stand up and retighten them. And you could just stand up and retighten them, but it's like you kind of have to stand up and tighten them and then skate around and tighten them again. So I find if you tighten them while you're sitting down, then you stand up and tighten them, you'll get them tight enough to the point where they are good enough. But sometimes still you need to tighten them like 3 times, get them perfectly tight, and it's just a little bit annoying when you have to lace up your boot like for 20 minutes, you know, and sometimes it can hurt your back if you're bent over for a long time. It doesn't take 20 minutes, but it's not good for your back to be bent over like that. I mean, it's like, I don't skate these that often because of that. Like, I'd rather skate these Imperials on a fitness skate than the carbon skates just for that reason, because they're easier to put on. Even though these are way more responsive and more fun to skate and lighter and easier to, but it's like a workout, you can maybe go with the heavier skate anyways. But these are my definite favorite skate in terms of the free skates. I don't have a favorite skate in terms of my aggressive skates. The only other skate I have are roller skates. The only other skates I have are these Chaya roller skates. And to be honest, I only got them to like, you know, hang out with girls who have roller skates, because, you know, I'm a rollerblader, not really a roller skater, and most people don't even really know the difference. But, you know, I know that a lot of girls like roller skating more. There's more girls who are into roller skating versus rollerblading, so I got a pair of roller skates, you know, because I knew this one girl who was, you know, into it, and she wanted me to teach her how. So I was like, oh, well, I don't want to just teach you on my inline, so I'll buy a pair of these so I could use those to teach you. And, you know, it didn't really work out dating wise, but it was kind of cool that I got into roller skating for that reason. You know, even if you don't have a good reason to get into something, sometimes, like, or even if something bad happens, sometimes there's like a silver lining, and there was a silver lining in that relationship. Even though she didn't want to date me or whatever, like, I got to experience something new, which was roller skating. And the only thing I'll say about roller skating is it's really hard, man. Like, I never expected it to be as hard as it is. Like, the 4 wheels is a lot more stable, but the thing is like, you could rock back and fall on your ass really easy, you know, because especially if you're used to skating an urban tri-skate, like, the rocker on a tri-skate, you're supposed to rock back and you catch yourself. But on these, if you rock back, you're just gonna fall on your ass. I have like done a couple of grinds. This thing's only like a plastic frame, so, or a truck, but, you know, I'm not really like looking on spending like $600 and getting some really awesome like roller skate trucks, but like, I would like to, like, you know, learn more. These are pretty fun. I've been using them just to kind of dance around, and I mean, I don't know if I'd ever take them out on the street because they're kind of dangerous and they're hard to stop on. But I have kind of mastered the power stop on them. They're different. They're a lot different. Like, you have to, like, on blades you want to go like this, you know. But if you go like that, you're like, you know, you have to go like this. Like, it's like so different, you know, because like you like this, but these are like this, you know. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's so different, even though they're the same thing. People think they're the same thing, but they're just so different. And even though they're in like kind of the same vein, they're not the same. And you can really get wrecked thinking that you're good. And like, I'm good enough to skate them without the toe stops. Like, if you're good at blading, you're probably good enough to roller skate. But the thing is, it's just they're not the same motion and they're not the same thing, and so you have to remember that, and you have to treat them differently and respect that. So basically, from every skate I've ever owned, I've learned a lot and I've grown a lot, and I can't say it's a bad idea to purchase a skate, even though, like, let's say it's a lot of money, but people will say it's an investment for a reason, because you're investing in yourself as a skater. I mean, don't spend the money if you need that money for rent or something, or, you know what I mean? Don't be irresponsible. But if you have money lying around and you're just going to spend it on something else, like silly, or maybe you could save it, but like you want to invest in yourself. That's the thing is, you know, some people save their money, other people invest their money, and there's a lot of things you can invest in, but you should choose to invest in yourself, I believe, as well. Not, don't forget about financial investments, but you know, even more important than financial investments, I believe, are personal investments. And one of the most best personal investments you've ever made as a rollerblader is buying that initial pair of rollerblades. And I'm sure you wouldn't realize that whatever dollar amount it was that you spent, that hey, like that was worth it for me to get into the sport. Like I spent, I don't know, look how many skates I have, like 8 skates, probably like $5,000 on skates and shit. You know, that's a lot of money. I mean, I don't even want to think about it when all the pads and the helmets and the, you know, and the injuries that I've sustained. It's probably even more than that, but you know, you can't really put a dollar value on happiness, can you? On being a better person or being healthier. You can't put a dollar value on being happy. You know, essentially, like there's nothing better than like experiencing rollerblading and having like the time of your life, especially if you're into it. You know, I mean, this is one of the most fun things in the world. Right? Don't let anyone tell you that it's a waste of money, because it's not. It's, you're investing in yourself and you're having a fun time while you're doing it. So, you know, remember that and just keep on rollerblading. Peace out.